Titans didn't look good with a 7-10 record, but still have faith in Mike Vrabel. What are you looking for from Tennessee here?
This is one of those teams that starts with the offensive line. They were the worst offensive line in the NFL last season, and they are going to be fielding, 3 new starters up front? 4, is it? They changed 4 out of the 5 spots, and then the 5th one is suspended for a while. So there's definitely a proven track record of the offensive line that says, look, continuity in itself is important, right? Maintaining 5 guys, the same 5 guys, actually moves the needle in terms of how good that group is going to be from one year to the next. So generally speaking, changing 4 out of 5 guys on the offensive line is bad. But most of the time, when you're changing 4 out of 5 guys, it's because the 5 guys that started stank. So you're almost certainly upgrading every single one of those spots by changing just because they couldn't get much worse from where they were a year ago. So this is what Tennessee is battling now. It's like how important is theoretically upgrading 4 out of your 5 spots versus the fact that you've changed 4 out of your 5 spots and there is zero continuity right now along the offensive line. Then you have the added complicating factor of, well, let's look at the individual moves they made, and do you actually love any of them? Skoronski, I think, is a fantastic move for them. The rookie tackle out of Northwestern who's going to be playing guard for them. I don't know if you want him playing guard, but should either way be an upgrade for them. The rest of the moves, I don't know that you love them.
The other thing that people are making a big deal, are trying to figure out, what was the plan this offseason for the Titans? Remember, John Robinson, the GM, was fired during the season last year, a year after being the number 1 seed.
Right.
Reportedly, power struggle with him and Mike Vrabel. Vrabel unhappy that they traded A.J. Brown. We didn't love that move. Obviously, that didn't work out very well.
And they made a lot of bad moves recently, personnel-wise.
But this offseason, it was like, okay, you have Vrabel, still a good coach, can elevate players. Do you rebuild? You have Ryan Tannehill, older quarterback, still good enough, solid. But are you ready to move on? Should you trade Tannehill, start from scratch? And it's almost like every other move was back and forth between rebuilding and no, we're going to compete. That's me at camp. Just taking in Titans camp there.
That's not perspective either. You're actually 2.5 feet taller than Ryan Tannehill.
I am a lot taller than Ryan Tannehill. DeAndre Hopkins looks like a
small child next to you.
A little child.
Yeah.
That's just me. Taking in the action.
Yeah.
Watching the special teamers. Really keeping an eye on the kicker situation, of which the Titans do not have one.
Well,
that's the most I'll say about the kickers.
Not based off that evidence of practice.
They literally don't have one on the roster right now, actually.
Yeah.
So, every time the Titans, they grab an Andre Dillard to play left tackle. Unproven left tackle, but they get him at a decent contract. So, starter-level contract, but not breaking the bank. So, it's like, all right, we're trying to find players here. And then they're the team that goes to get DeAndre Hopkins as a win-now type of move, which is great. Like, that's going to make the team better, but it's just funny because they're back and forth. They get Will Levis at the top of the second. By all reports, they may have wanted him in the first if Peter Skoronski wasn't there. So you get this, future look at the quarterback position.
Man, imagine how much crap they'd be taking right now if they'd done that.
If they took Levis at 11.
Right, and he clearly isn't ready to start year one. I
wouldn't give that to him. I would say that's fine. You take your shots at quarterback, that's fine. I don't think the Niners deserve crap, really, for taking a swing at Trey Lance. Maybe it was too much to give up. At the time, I still would have taken Mac Jones probably over him. I thought that would have been a good fit. I got, somebody yelled at me on the air when we were live saying, this Trey Lance is the right move. And I said, Mac Jones is a better quarterback. That all happened. But, you take swings at quarterback, that's fine.
I think there's a lot of revisionist history with the Trey Lance thing.
Everybody thought that was fine at the time.
He was. It's not like the.
Don't go into it. No, we're not doing it. It's not like the
rawness thing is surprising. We knew that. We knew he was raw. He was raw.
We're not talking
the
Trey
rawness
Lance.
hasn't worked out.
We're not. I'm cutting it off. We're not talking Trey Lance. I'm not letting you go down that path. We're not doing it. We're talking about the Titans. We got to remember the Titans. So, I don't know what to expect here. Derrick Henry, you were impressed with him in person?
Well, he's huge.
Big dude.
That's not surprising. But it's one of those things, you see it in person like that dude, he's comically large.
Yeah.
Like you, comically large. It's just ridiculous.
Should have gotten me and Henry.
You and Derrick Henry would be a proportion size quarterback running back tandem, just like at 160% relative to the way it's supposed to be.
Tajay Spears as the backup. Everybody loved him coming out. He is not the proportional backup like I would be. But Tajay Spears I mean, it's going to be another run-heavy offense.
But Nuke Hopkins, I think, massively changes everything. Like, this was a receiving core that looked problematic on paper, but it's that difference that a number one guy makes, where all of a sudden, when now you're talking about a receiving core that looked like a problem when somebody was number one, when that guy's number two and everyone takes your step down the depth chart, it suddenly looks way better. Like, Nuke Hopkins is the unquestioned number one, and he looks like it already. Like, every play for the offense is going to Nuke. That when Treylon Burks is your number two / gimmick guy / deep threat to free up some space for Nuke Hopkins, that works.
Chig.
Yeah, Chigakonkwo at tight end, Nick Westbrook-Akina.
Look at this. We got footage. Look at how professional we are.
Hey, see, it's pretty good.
Practice footage.
With the drill, the helmet thing.
Helmet on a stick.
Yeah. But, like, when those are your number 2, 3, 4 targets in the offense, it looks way better. But I don't know if any of it matters if the offensive line is still the worst unit in the NFL, which it could be.
Ryan Tannehill's career. Here's my my quick recap. He went from average to above average starter. He was an above average starter, right, for the Miami Dolphins. That was his career. And then in 2019, he takes over for Marcus Mariota. Let's just read his career grades.
Oh, let's do that. Yeah.
Let's do it. 68, 80, 75, 68, 74. He had a weird 2018 with a 45. Really weird. Out of line. But when he takes over as a starter in 2019, we have a 90 PFF grade. And then another 90 PFF grade in 2020. And an 83 in 2021. Those are the 3 highest grades of Ryan Tannehill's career. And some would attribute that to Derrick Henry and the Titans and Arthur Smith and the play action and all these things. It was A.J. Brown. It was the wide receiver one that Ryan Tannehill had never had. In Miami, they tried. Mike Wallace will be his deep threat. That'll open up the deep ball for Tannehill. He was just a solid quarterback his whole career in Miami. And I'm not saying he was a carry-the-team elite quarterback. He was a run-heavy offense, play-action-heavy, but I have a wide receiver one who opens up everything else, and Ryan Tannehill is a good, accurate quarterback who can hit open throws, and he did that for 3 straight years with the Titans, his 3 best years. Last year, A.J. Brown's gone. He's a 74 again. To me, that's pretty straight. And then Jalen Hurts goes from below average starter to MVP race. A.J. Brown in Philadelphia.
That simple, huh?
Yeah, it's that simple. When you have mid-tier quarterbacks give you all the A-B analysis that you need. Yeah. Mid-tier quarterbacks give that to you. So my question now for the Titans, can DeAndre Hopkins get Tannehill back? I don't think Hopkins at this point in his career is as impactful as A.J. Brown, but he's still really, really good. And if he takes the attention away, as you mentioned, that opens things up for Treylon Burks as a 2, Chigakonkwo as a tight end. You run the ball, work play action, put Tannehill in position to succeed. The Titans, who feel like they're in this weird spot of rebuild and they're old and they're competing and they're thinking to the future, could be really good. And I honestly think that just adding DeAndre Hopkins to the mix and pushing everybody down the depth chart will give them that opportunity to just win 10 games and maybe make a playoff push because Vrabel's still the head coach and they're solid otherwise.
You don't think that any part of Tannehill's decline was suddenly operating behind the worst offensive line in the NFL last year?
They weren't great pass blocking the years before, too. You talked about...
They were a hell of a lot better than last year.
No, you talk about the different... Of course, there's other factors in there, too, and I'm oversimplifying things, but I think that's a huge factor. Because 2020, I believe it was, they were a bottom 5 pass blocking offensive line and a top 5 run blocking line. The Titans have had the biggest discrepancy between pass and run for the entire Derrick Henry era here. They've been pretty good in the run game and not great from a pure pass protection standpoint, in addition to just being protected by the heavy play action game and everything. So I think Tannehill, a little wide receiver one dependent like other mid-tier quarterbacks. We'll see what happens here.